I'm Mary Lyons, and I am the Wealth Woman.
And I'm Eric Alexander from Benchmark Income Group.
And this is the Big Wealth Podcast.
Everything you've ever been taught about money is wrong.
But don't worry, we're here to help.
On this podcast, we'll use the same tools you already know to actually help set you free.
Free to do what you want with your time, with your money, and with your energy. Free to live your life the way you have dreamt about.
So we're going to talk about wealth knowledge, personal reflections, and the financial industry news of the day.
Welcome to the Big Wealth Podcast. So Eric, it's the beginning of the new year. 2020 is over. Thank goodness. We're launching into 2021. And everyone I'm talking to has been making New Year's resolutions. So right. I thought that would be a great topic for our first podcast. I think in our industry, what's really fascinating is that people frequently make financial resolutions. And just like the health resolutions and all the other resolutions that get made at the beginning of the year, they don't always stick to them. So what if we talk about resolutions that people make that maybe aren't that easy to stick to, and then talk through ways that they could change the resolution or even the accountability so that they can actually stick to them?
Yeah, I think the running stat is most resolutions die by like the 19th. I think so. If you've made it to the 20th and you're still doing your resolutions, you're beating the average bear, right?
Well, today's the 22nd, so if you're still
That's
going,
right.
you're still on that just in the very beginning.
I'm behind on a couple of mine. Some I've kept through, some I'm struggling to keep up with. But yeah, I think the challenge with resolutions is it sounds good at the beginning, and then we get 3 weeks into it or 2 weeks in, and we're like, is that really what I want out of my life? Is this really where I want to go?
This is terrible. Yeah, I actually am sticking to the one resolution I made so far, which actually was inspired by our earlier conversations. My goal is to do 150 minutes of exercise every week. And now our whole team is doing that too. So that's 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And so far I've been going strong with that week over week, but I'm not going to lie. Half the reason I'm sticking to it is just because as the leader of our organization, I can't be the one who fails.
Right.
Doesn't set a good tone.
Yeah, my resolution at the beginning was 45 minutes of working out every day, 7 days a week. And I think by now I'm 2 days behind. So I think I'm sort of winning, but not quite.
So are you going to stack your workouts this weekend, or are you just going to get right back on the bandwagon?
No, I've got to stack them up. So I think I've got an hour and a half Saturday and Sunday ready to go.
Well, you better do it, because if you get too far behind, it starts getting very daunting. And that actually goes right to the point of why I think people fall off of their New Year's resolutions in the first place. So, one of the resolutions that I've heard people make before, especially if they're in a position where maybe they have some debt, is that they're going to put every extra penny that they have towards debt payoff. And what I have found is that when people go to that level of extreme, they rarely actually get to the point where they have paid the debt off. Now, it's not to say it's impossible, because certainly there are people who do it, but I think the people who do it are extraordinary in so many ways. So for the rest of us that are looking for ways to do this, do you have any recommendations? I know we've had some clients that we've helped with debt payoff before.
Yeah, there was, it's interesting because it's almost like working out and eating right and, going to the gym and all the rest of it. I remember watching an interview with James Corden, and he was talking to, I think, Jessica Biel. And she says, yeah, I'm training for this movie, and, 6 or 7 days a week, I'm working out 4 hours a day. And she says, I hit a Saturday and I'm going out with my girlfriends and we're having a good time. And I stopped by a donut shop and I ordered 24 Krispy Kreme glazed donuts and a pizza. And I sat in a car and I just shoved as much bread in my mouth as I could get in, right? And I think that's how we do it with trying to go debt payoff. Like we do really, really good for a little bit, and then we're like, I'm out. Like, and they pull up Amazon and
it's a pendulum. You go one direction, and at some point gravity pulls you back in the other direction. The people that I've seen who have actually been successful with paying off debt have approached things a little bit differently. And what I find is the case with so many things that are of a financial nature is that there's the logical thing to do, and then there's emotion. right? And
Right.
frequently logic and emotion don't line up. I mean, we've all made decisions like your donut story right there that we know
Right.
are terrible choices, but we can't help ourselves almost. We do it anyways. And
Right.
so I think it's important to understand that part of the reason that money and finances are so intimidating for so many people are
Right.
because there oftentimes is a disconnect between emotion and logic, and that creates a situation where you're almost like creating the right breeding ground for disappointment. And I think that in itself is demotivating, right? And
Right.
so there's fear with taking those first steps. So one of the things that I have recommended that I've seen clients actually be able to stick to, especially in situations where there is a lot of debt, is to make a list of all the credit cards they have, and then to make a list of the interest rates and the minimum
Right.
payment, and then what they're actually paying. And then starting with the smallest credit card first, work on putting everything extra that you have to apply just to that one credit card. Now, most people would say, all right, logic tells us that we need to pay off the credit card with the highest interest rate first. But
Right.
I find that when people do that, especially if that's one of the larger balances, they don't feel the progress that they're making. And it's sort of
Right.
demoralizing. So, this idea of paying off a small card first, taking everything extra and putting it towards that one small card is, I think, really important. But if you just do that and then move directly to the next card and the next card, while it's good to see the debt going
Yeah.
down,
But there's no break.
that's not enough, right? So,
Right.
um, have you seen clients do something like pay down a card and then make the minimums on all the rest of the cards and take all that extra and just take a month to celebrate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the perfect way to go do it. And maybe you don't go blow 3 months of your debt pay down to go on, on a bender in Vegas to go do it. But like celebrate the win. Like you just did something really cool. You did something hard. And like there was a reason you're in debt in the first place. Like you spent that money for some other reason.
Right,
So go back, let yourself off the hook a little bit. Have a couple extra donuts. Enjoy what it was like to like taste what a donut feels like, right? Again. And then like, okay, that was fun. And we can go do it again and let's go knock off the next one, right?
right. It's like if
'Cause-
you ever watch that show, The Biggest Loser, even they got a cheat day, right? So if
right,
we look at this the same way, you get aggressive on one card and then you reward yourself where you get to spend that money. I think that's good because as human beings, our wants and desires don't change just because we have debt. In fact, I
right,
think knowing that that debt is there sometimes um, almost even exacerbates our desire to spend more money and to
right,
consume because it makes us feel better for a short period of time. But I think about it even in terms of things that we do on a daily basis. I mean, I don't know about you, but this thing right here, I look at it and I'm scrolling at night, right? And part of the
right,
reason is did somebody like my post, or did so and so tag me in their post? And when that
right,
happens, you feel better about it. And so finding ways that you can create that same sort of dopamine hit of,
right.
okay, I just did something good, let's celebrate it, I think is hugely important when dealing with resolutions.
Yeah, well, that's the other part of it too, is they're just like 90% hardcore, maybe not 100% hardcore. Because one of the other things that I've seen people do is, let's make their debt payoff budget $1,000 a month because I can do that math. And they do all $1,000 towards debt, and they're cranking it out, and they're making progress, and they're doing what they should. But they look up and they've got no money in their savings account. Like they're not doing anything to go create a cushion. So take a couple of extra months to go pay off the debt, but take some of that 1,000, go put it into savings account, go set up a fund on the side, because then you've got a cushion. If you needed something, you could. If you wanted to go on a bender, right, you could, and you're not going back into debt. Small
Right,
bender.
right,
But it creates that sense that I'm not in lack anymore, because when every dollar you've got is going somewhere else, it's like, what am I working for this for? Like
right.
it's demoralizing again.
Right. And I think what you just said is actually key. It's about keeping yourself in a place where you're excited about the progress you're making and you don't get demoralized. Because I have certainly seen with clients before that, they're making a lot of progress and then something comes up and they've got a medical bill they have to pay. And so they charge back up the card they just paid off. And so
Right.
you are absolutely right. Even if it means that it takes a little bit longer for you to pay off the credit cards, you're more likely to actually do what you need to do if you have that cushion, so that you don't go backwards when there is an emergency or something unexpected pops up. I think that's brilliant, if I can,
Yeah.
if I can say so myself.
Yeah, sure. Well, but because I think that's it. It's helping you mentally stay in the game. Like
Right.
it's not just enough to financially be in the game. It's the logic emotion piece, right? Because if you just get demoralized, you keep getting knocked down every 5 minutes or every 5 months, you're like,
Back up.
forget it. I'm out. I'm not doing this. So,
Right. Right.
and that's
Well,
why there was a
so
great book on that from Scott Adams, the guy that wrote Dilbert. He says
yeah,
basically, goals are dumb. You're a moron if you set goals. Don't set goals, create habits, because
there you
habits
go.
outrun the goals, right?
I like that. Although I don't know that I'm going to be able to let go of goals.
No,
So I might just be a moron.
I didn't think I probably added the moron part, but you know, he said something
Right.
equally entertaining.
Yeah, he's great. I've read a couple of his books, and he is a very entertaining writer for sure. Well,
Yeah, no
okay,
doubt.
so let's talk a second resolution here. One of the other resolutions that I have seen come up quite frequently this year is I'm going to stick to a budget and track where every penny that I'm spending goes. And I
Right.
can tell you from personal experience that in the times I have attempted to do that, it lasts maybe 30 days, and then I can't do it anymore. So do
Right.
you have you tried to do that yourself, or do you have any recommendations for people who are attempting to do that?
Yeah, I am the worst at the cobbler's kids have no shoes mentality of life, right? I deal with money all day long and everyone's budgets. In fact, my wife came by the other day. She's like, you really don't know what's going on around here. You just like to live in la la land and just assume it all works out. I'm like, yeah, because
But
I'm done at the end of the day, right?
it does work out.
It does work out. It's magical, right? Well, and I think that's it, right? Because it's really hard to go track all the stuff. Like at 9 o'clock when the kids are bed and I'm decompressing and scrolling through Facebook or whatever, like the last thing I want to go do is a deep dive into my budget on where every penny went that day.
Right. Well, and I don't think
It's
that's
demoralizing.
unique at all, right? I mean, it's one thing to say that it's because we do this kind of work for our clients all day and help them understand those things. So maybe that's why we don't want to do it when we come home. But I think it actually comes down to basic human nature, right? I
Right.
mean, if I think about what my day looks like, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I get on a treadmill for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how well I slept the night before. As
Right.
soon as I'm done, I'm hopping in the shower. As soon as I'm out, I'm going to wake my kids up. You know, Mike and I are getting them ready for school in the morning, then I'm dropping them off, and then I'm coming home and I'm already preparing for my day and then jumping into client meetings. And so, you know, at least for me, there are days I don't even get a lunch break and I'm working till 5 or 6 o'clock, and then I'm
Right.
done. I'm having dinner with my kids and I'm trying to be present as a mom, which, you know, when
Right.
I mean, nowadays I usually don't even get to detox from my day because there's no commute anymore. And so it's all kids, kids, kids. And then I get them to bed. And then as soon as they're in bed, my husband wants attention and I want to be a good wife and I want to give him attention. And then maybe if I'm lucky, I get to watch a show. And then right after that, I'm going to sleep. So when was I supposed to do my budget in there?
Right. Right.
Like it
And
just
is that what I really want to think about at 9 o'clock?
no,
Right.
no. I've worked all day. I need a break at that point. I certainly don't want to do it on the weekend. So so here's what I've actually found.
Right.
I've tried Mint. I've tried YNAB, youneedabudget.com. I've tried both of those. And I can tell you that I was really good on the first day inputting everything into both of those softwares. Of the two, I preferred YNAB because it was
Right.
maybe more intense. There was more labeling, more tracking. I had to keep a budget. The software itself was a little more intuitive for me. And I managed to do it for 30 days. And here's what I actually found. The best thing about doing that was understanding where my money was actually going. But
Right.
by the end of the month, having to update where every, like, you know, if I went to Target, splitting that out of this much went here, this much went here, this much went here. It was just too tedious. And, you know, I like to tell people I use up all my detail at work. I don't want to be in detail space when I get
Right. Right. Right.
So I actually found something that helped me automate it. And I've been doing this now, geez, I've been married for more than 14 years. And I think we implemented this right in the front end of this.
Right.
And this is something that we teach our clients as well.
Right. Right.
What
Right.
I found is I do a lot better using a weekly allowance because if I have to think about, if I can automate all my bills and I automate all my savings so I know where that's going, and I've got a liquid savings account where the one-off things that aren't normal monthly expenses can come from because I'm saving there, that
Right.
I can think about money in terms of what's going on in the week, but I can't. It's hard for me to think about life in terms of what's going on in the next month or the next year. And so while I can
Right.
have those conversations with my spouse about bigger picture planning, I don't normally think that way when it
Right.
comes to daily life because there's too much.
It's too hard.
Yeah. So do you and Amy do something like that, or what do you guys do to manage your budget?
Yeah, it's been fun because we've actually been, since we've been doing this for clients so often, right? We've been trying to go do that on our own. And the fun part of it, I think for us emotionally is well, you and I are similar and you and my wife are similar in that nobody's going to tell me what to go do, right? There's a certain level of sort of
Independent woman.
like, damn it, this is how it's going to work, right? And so I think the challenge, and I remember talking with you and Mike about that, was, hey, what did you just buy? What are you spending that on? What just came in for Amazon?
Question.
Right. And for me, whenever I ask the question, I could care less what you spend on it up to, a certain amount. I'm just curious because I'm a nosy guy, right? But she took that question as, it's none of your business, right? There was a Z-Snap in there somewhere, I'm sure, right? But it was like, no, I'm going to spend the money on whatever it was that I was going to go spend the money on, and it's not your problem, right? It's not you don't get a vote, right?
Right.
And so I think the brilliance of that budget was, if I want to go, like, your story with you and Mike, if I want to go blow that money on going out to eat every day because I'm just sick of cooking and trying to make a lunch, and I go blow all my money so that Thursday night at 7 o'clock, I'm out of cash until Monday, that's my choice, right? But Mike is a very different spender, right? I want lots of little stuff. She's like, I don't care. Like, I want big things every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
And then we don't have to manage each other, and I don't have to care, and it just kind of works on autopilot.
That's what was so hard, I think, trying to manage a budget when there's two people involved, right? Is that we
Right.
do have different spending habits, and just like your household. So I'm the one that spends little bits of money, but very frequently. And Mike is the one who spends very large amounts, but infrequently. And when I was trying to manage a budget using a budgeting software, God, that was the stuff that would create fights between the two of us because
Right.
I probably spent more money than he did, but mine was easy to budget for, whereas his, I never knew when it was coming and it would derail the entire budget for the month. And so
Right.
It just created so much tension for us doing it that way. And so when we set it up so that every Friday there's an automatic transfer to individual accounts, I can spend my money on whatever I want. And we do it on Friday, so we're flush for the weekend at our house. But
Right.
I just like what you just said, I'm frequently broke in that account anyways on Thursday because
Right.
that's the money I have a permission slip to spend. Whereas for Mike, he doesn't spend it. And then he'll buy a large piece of gym equipment because that's what he likes to spend his money on.
Right.
And I know it's just fine because the money's been building up in his account until he's ready to make that purchase. So I find the allowance system is really helpful. And there's a video, if you want to go to @TheWealthWoman on Facebook, there is a video on there that is titled How to Stop Fighting with Your Spouse About Money. And if your resolution is to live within your means to get onto a savings plan, I think that video will help you a lot. So I think we're about out of time for today.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is awesome. And I'm not going to lie. One of my favorite things about working with you, Eric, is conversations just like this. We have them all week long, or at least we did pre-COVID.
We used to.
Right? We're starting to do it more again. But after working together for 12 years, I think at this point, it's almost like being siblings. I'm really excited to get to allow people into the oddities of our conversations about finance and life in general.
Right.
I've enjoyed this. Hopefully our audience has too.
As always. See ya.
Have a great day.